Is going on, folks? Will Turbot here, aka the reincarnation of L. Ron Hubbard and rightful and sole inheritor of all of his mansions, Lamborghinis, and pools. Fake Mike. Real news. It's gonna be a good one because I caught it. Yeah, today's gonna be a good one, guys. This is one of the ones that I'm begging, please, 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 share the video because we're trying a few things out, and we're joined once again by J. Michael Springman, U.S. diplomat, author, and lawyer. And man, are you gonna want to hear what my friend has to say today? He told me never publicly call him his friend, so I apologize to him for that. But he's a super cool dude. Let's see if we're live streaming on my website right now, because the goal is to be able to do that. Let's see if that's happening right now. Eh, I don't know. I don't know. We're working on things. We're trying out new things here. So let's see. Oh, that's why. That's why. Bear with me, guys. If you're just trying to share the video, this is going to be an epic video here. All right, we'll figure out if this went live or what. I'll play around with that another day. Another day. Live TV. Are we live now here? I don't know. All right. So I'll stop playing with that. We'll figure that out later. J. Michael Springman, welcome back to the show. How are you today, brother?
Oh, good. I was wondering if we could ever connect with this thing. Playing with this technology sometimes is difficult.
I got this software that my buddy Theo hooked it up with, and
Uh-huh.
tonight was going to be the first night that I was going to stream live from my website. So I was going to say, hey, we can say whatever we want, and we still can say whatever we want, because no matter what we say, if we get too spicy, which we probably will, unfortunately, we'll just take this off of YouTube, and it's working on my. If anybody can check on my website, because if that's the case, then that will be super cool. If you can put a one in the chat if it's working there. Two, if not. We're joined by U.S. diplomat, author, and lawyer. He's the author of books Goodbye Europe, Hello Chaos, Migrants, Merkel's Migrant Bomb, as well as Visas for Al Qaeda, which put him on my radar 10, 15, 20 years ago. At this point, I'm really bad with time. Uh, and since then, he's been awesome enough to join the show. One, okay, it's working. Cool, dude. Awesome. Sorry to pause that, but now officially we could say whatever we want, because if we get too spicy, I just pulled this off of YouTube. It's great. So welcome back, man. How was your holiday season, dude? I saw the dog in the snow, and that looked pretty tranquil and fun.
It was quiet. It was good. I enjoyed myself.
Good, man. Yeah, and the holidays is a good time, but now we're back here in 2024. I can't believe that's pretty crazy. Awesome. Yeah, guys. So if this stream goes out on YouTube, follow me over on fakemikerealnews.com. If anything ever happens to me, I've had channels axed before, I've had my Facebook axed before, all that type of stuff. Fakemikerealnews.com is where you will find me. And now we can stream there, so we get to say whatever. And there's no copyright strikes over there. So look forward to that, guys. That's awesome. Big thank you to Theo. Sorry when we get an important guest, but I really wanted to work on that. So let's get right into things without any other extra further ado. We've got what's going on in Gaza and Ukraine. You can start with either one, but then we have Janet Yellen and the Federal Reserve telling us, yes, the American taxpayers, they can afford two wars simultaneously. We just, and by the last thing I'll say, and I'll shut the hell up, is we just breached 34, not 33, $34 trillion in debt. And yes, we can afford, according to these esteemed economists, two wars simultaneously. So I don't know if you want to start talking about Ukraine, which was only going to be a brief thing. That was only going to be a really quick thing, right? Remember that? And now Gaza is that. I don't even know how long we've been going on in Ukraine, and then Gaza continues. And one final thing I'll say is usually every few years something will pop up in Gaza and then it'll kind of boil back down. But seems to be the most prolonged activity that's been going on in recent memory for me. And I'll shut the hell up now. I'm gonna mute and let our esteemed guest J. Michael Springman, whose books Goodbye Europe, Hello Chaos, and Visas for Al Qaeda are available on Amazon, and the links will be in the description as well as the website.
Well, I'm not sure where to start. We could pick up with the Ukraine. That seems to be winding down because the politicians in Congress seem to be getting the idea that, well, why are we spending money uh, to destroy a country in the hopes of destroying the Russian Federation, which we've been fighting for the past century? The war has destroyed the European economy. It's destroyed the American economy. It's caused galloping inflation, great shortages in almost everything, and people are beginning to think, well, why are we spending billions and billions of dollars on this dirtball Zelensky, who is a failed comedian and a failed actor, and the people in Flint, Michigan can't drink decent water? Or you pick a country, or not a country, a city or a town or whatever, and ask them why their roads are crumbling, why their traffic systems don't work because the traffic lights aren't synchronized, etc. There's plenty to spend money on here at home, and yet we're spending billions to destroy the Ukraine, fighting to the last Ukrainian, in the hopes that Vladimir Putin will go home and stay home. It's absolute nonsense. Former Soviet Union ambassador Jake Matlock made the comment to Congress back, I guess, about 1991, saying that this business of extending NATO ever eastward is the greatest and most foolish mistake the American government has made since the end of the Cold War. So that's pretty much sums it up. So as far as as Gaza goes, it just simply goes from bad to worse.
Just before you, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you foresee an end to this anytime soon? I mean, I don't know. I mean, they said it was just going to be a brief thing. Do you foresee, because there's news reports from both sides. People will say, oh, Russia's looking bad, but most of the news I hear is Ukraine's looking bad and Ukraine's running out of stuff. But then we keep, hooking them up with different stuff and different technology. I mean, how long is this going to last? Like, do you have any idea?
It's going to last, I think, until Zelensky is either forced out of office or assassinated by his own people, or the countries that have been funding him, giving him fantastic amounts of money to the detriment of their own armed forces and their own economies, realize that this is a no-win situation, a dead-end road, and there won't be enough money in the world left to rebuild the Ukraine after this foolish war that the Americans started and kept going with secret deals to ensure that the Ukrainian government, which is run by neo-Nazis and real Nazis, is stopped. People are beginning to question what's going on. They've seen all these Nazi symbols that they've had. They made the Stepan Bandera a hero of the Ukraine. And he was a Nazi collaborator, as was any number of high officials within the resistance movement in the 1940s and in the area. And the Americans hoped to split the Ukraine away from the Soviet Union and worked very diligently by arming them, by secretly training dissidents and resistance fighters, and getting people to publish articles about the Ukraine in newspapers and magazine organizations set up in the United States by the Central Intelligence Agency. So it's ridiculous, and nobody bothers to look at the history. Nobody looks at American involvement in this thing. So it's something that beggars belief that, when you're in a hole, the smart thing is to stop digging when you're in over your head and can't get out.
Yeah, I think it's also ridiculous too that, I mean, another thing, we'll get to inflation a little bit later too, but I guess let's talk about Gaza a little bit. That's another thing, like I alluded to earlier. Every few years there'll be some kind of military action or whatever. To me, it's pretty crazy because they've actually outdid themselves this time, because there's a lot of Republicans and there's even Democrats too. There's like one of the few things that Republicans and Democrats can agree on, right? They can agree that, yeah, we'll give the military industrial complex more power, big pharma, we'll reestablish the Patriot Act, we'll turn a blind eye to NSA spying. Yes, that doesn't make a difference. Whatever we say, even the Democrats will pretend that they support Palestine. But then when it comes down to it, they're all supporting Israel. And the funny part about it too is now the mainstream news will tell us, yeah, like Israel, Gaza should, Iran and Gaza and Palestine, pardon me, should be more like Saudi Arabia because they're our allies. And Saudi, for whatever you want to make of Iran, Iran has never invaded another country ever,
Yeah,
right? They've
exactly.
never, ever. The U.S. the U.S. has either a military presence or invaded all but three countries in this on this planet, right? And then the U.S. says to Iran, "Hey, we got tons, literal tons of nuclear weapons. You don't have any. We've lost at least 29. You can't have any. And if you do have any, we're going to use nuclear weapons against you, which is the most mind-numbing thing ever." And then they're telling Palestine and Iran to be more like Saudi Arabia. And if you guys aren't familiar with this area, and it's just like that's the Middle East to you, Saudi Arabia, it's not. Iran has suffered the consequences of the U.S. basically meddling with them, toppling their own leaders, right? And then Saudi Arabia, who's been buddy buddy with the U.S., they behead people, they stone people to death, and they finally gave women rights. Oh no, that actually wasn't a woman; it was a robot named Sophia, financed by Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, and so this is how mind numbing this is. There, that and if you were to ask most Americans on the street, who's a bad guy, right? They're going to say Iran. They're going to say Palestine.
Mhm.
So how far do you see this going here? And I mean, this is crazy because this is continuing longer than I thought. Much like what's going on in Ukraine.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Saudi Arabia. When I was in Jeddah on the Red Sea coast, the CIA base chief, the guy who ran the operation at the consulate, a station chief is the guy who runs all of CIA operations in a country at the embassy. Eric Qualkenbush, the base chief, once told me that Saudi Arabia is a well-run and well-administered police state, and he's right. It's owned by one family, for openers, the House of Saud. That's why it's Saudi Arabia. And they are not exactly wonderful, freedom-loving Democrats. Husbands put tracking devices on their family cell phones to make sure that they know where their wives are. That doesn't happen in Iran. When I was in Iran the first time, we were taken around, and I saw women bowling with men, women playing pool with men. Went back a second time and got saw different parts of the country, speaking to the University of Shiraz and visiting General Soleimani's tomb in Kerman. And we were treated extremely well. We were taken places that most people wouldn't normally go to, I think. And we had excellent interpreters that explained things, answered our questions. And by and large, my impression of Iran is they need to control their traffic. You'll have 6 lanes of highway trying to form into one lane because of construction or something. And yet there's a lot of horn blowing and yelling and screaming, but nobody crashes their car into another, unlike here in Washington. But the people were pleasant. They were friendly. They were open. I felt very comfortable there. And people say, well, weren't you scared? And I said, well, I was scared of the traffic, but that's about the only thing that bothered me. So Iran, as you mentioned, hasn't invaded anybody in a couple of centuries. The U.S. overthrew its government in 1953 because Mohammad Mossadegh had dared to nationalize the oil industry, which was owned by the British. And the Americans, of course, were ignoring the fact that the British had nationalized their own industries like coal and medicine and other major stays of the economy. That was okay, but if Iran did it, oh my God, we have to overthrow the government and put Mossadegh under house arrest until he died. So they have elections in Iran. You can complain about how they have elections. You can complain about the religion and forced coverings for women and so forth. But that's the Iranians' issue. If the people don't like it, they can change their own government. And when I was there the second time in February of last year, at the end of this international shouting match about women and hijabs and covering their hair and so forth, I saw a lot of women without hair coverings. I saw a lot of women with hair coverings. I saw some that were kind of cocking a snook at everything by having half their head covered. So it's basically they could do what they wanted. And when I asked one of our interpreters, well, how does this work out? What do you see? What do you feel? And the guy said, well, he sees veiled and hijabi covered women at the bus stop talking to women with no head coverings whatsoever. And they were normal conversations. They treated each other like normal people. There was no issue about their adherence to Islam. They seemed to be just as devout as the most covered woman imaginable. So you get one thing from when you're there in reality, and you get another thing from the biased and prejudiced American and international news media.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. And that's the thing. Like, you grow up in the United States and you have no other information. First of all, the news here in the United States doesn't cover anything of on the international scale unless it's something absolutely like crazy in the first place. And if you do hear from things, I mean, you can pretty much say this about any country, but I mean, there's the CIA, right? And they're bad people. We've established that on this. Not all of them, but they've done bad things. They have a history of doing really bad things. They poison children's milk. They assassinate people. They do terrible, terrible things, right? So, and they're known liars, right? So, right. So when the CIA, which we know through Operation Mockingbird, and to this day has infiltrated, and even if it's not the CIA, namely to this day, we know we still can't trust our media to this day. Okay, so we get news coming out of Russia. Okay, well, the CIA and the U.S. hate Russia, so anything they say is going to be tainted. And then you got Russia. I don't trust Russia either. Same thing with China. Same thing with North Korea. I don't trust Kim Jong Un, Kim Jong Il. I don't trust none of those guys. I don't trust the CIA at the same time. So we grew up in this world where we have all these assumptions made for us, and the truth is usually so much further from what we're told. It's absolutely ridiculous, right? Because I recently shared a meme that said Iran did this, Iran did that, Iran did this, and it was all these terrible things. And it was like, just kidding, that was the United States, and you would have guessed that's Iran, right? But it's really not. And yeah, I mean, amongst the worst things that you can say about Iran is, yeah, there's females that some females have to wear head covering, and since it's a religious place, well, that's a religious country. We're not going into Saudi Arabia and telling them take off your head coverings. We're not telling the princes. We're not telling Mohammed bin Salman to take off his headdress, right? No, Trump's standing there with a big ball and orb, right? And the Bushes vacationed with them, I believe. And it's like it's just absolutely ridiculous, and the hypocrisy is crazy. So let's talk about. I mean, shifting gears a little bit too. Let's talk about the economy, because that plays into all of this too. I mean, ever since the Federal Reserve took over the printing of our currency, everything's went to shit, right? We know that. It's well established. However, the last couple, just literally the last year, we have, I mean, the cost of razors. When I want to shave my face, it's nearly doubled. And I went back in. I'm like, this can't even be true. Like, this is the same thing I bought last week. The groceries are ridiculous, right? There's only so much that the American people can deal with. There's at least 60%, and I would dare to say probably even more, but at least 60% on a recent study of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And then the IRS says, hey, guess what? If you got $600 in your account, forget the fact that the Pentagon has failed like countless straight audits, and we're $34 trillion ourselves in debt. But if you have $600 in your account, bucko. I mean, I guess the real point is, I've been involved in this so-called movement for a long time. There's really none of us left. It was just like you, and I'm like your cheerleader, and there's like 3 other people left in this movement. It went totally to shit in 2016. The so-called truth movement, it's not there anymore. It's non-existent. Yeah. It's sad. A lot of them became Republicans or whatever, and it's so sad because a lot of the so-called truthers that I admired growing up just sold out and become Republicans. Not even just like stick it to the man Republicans, like mainline Republicans. They're more concerned about trans people
Mm.
than than genocide. It's
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous. So that having that having been said, I mean, one of the things that we've heard in this movement is, yeah, it's inevitable. We're going to have this economic collapse. People speculate that they're going to pawn it off on something else, a war. But now the inflation's really catching up to us in a way that I've even never seen in my lifetime, and I'm older than I look.
Yeah.
What do you? I mean, where is this all going? Are they going to give us a break? I mean, I don't. What the hell is going on, dude? Seriously, man. Like,
Uh,
it's really difficult out here for the average ordinary person. And share the
sure.
video, guys.
It's and it goes on. They deny there's any inflation. They deny there's any shortages. They deny that business is not taking advantage of people. But you simply have to point out that, as you said, it costs more to shave. Uh, I saw a note just today that says something about veterinary care for your pets is going up 9% in the past year. I had been stuck at home with a broken foot for a couple of months, and finally went out and bought some yogurt, the brand I normally buy. And it had started out at like $2 and something for I don't know, a quart package maybe. And then it went up and it went up and it went up. And then it broke the $3 mark. And then it's now $4. And it's the same stuff. But the prices keep going up. Mattress Warehouse, for example, I bought 2 mattresses from them in the last 5 years. And the first time I lost the sales ticket, so I couldn't really fight them back. But since I guess the middle of the summer to the present, I have been fighting with Mattress Warehouse about honoring the warranty on their mattress, which they claim is worth 10 years. And I paid about $500 or so for the mattress. And they said, well, yeah, we'll give you a new mattress. You just have to pay another $100 to have it delivered. And I tell them, no, I paid for the defective mattress twice, and now you want me to pay a third time? No. And I'm having to fight them in small claims court about this. Um,
And rent too is like out of control.
yeah,
You see more
sure.
and more. I mean, I've traveled this country. You see more and more homeless camps popping up
Mhm.
everywhere, bro. Like
Yeah.
literally, I've traveled this country and I've been to certain cities,
Mhm.
and and then I come back to my own city and there's like homeless people everywhere.
Mhm. Yeah, you're 2 paychecks from living on the street, really. I know a woman who had lived on Connecticut Avenue in D.C., upper northwest Washington, near Albemarle Street. It's a good, safe area, kind of a Tony area. I mean, poor people don't live there. But she was paying more than $2,000 a month for a very small 1-bedroom apartment. And granted, it was on a bus route. Granted, she could walk to a subway station. But at the same time, that's big bucks for a small bedroom. And then she lost her job, and then she was having God's own time hanging on, using her savings until she could find another job somewhere else, and eventually moved to Massachusetts to work for the Veterans Administration. So she was hammered. And this is when they claimed the economy was good. So I think that it's really getting worse. You go and you buy medicine at the drugstore, and I never paid a whole lot of attention to what I was buying, but they were fairly common prescriptions for fairly generic drugs. And I'm staggered by the fact that it's now $20 for something I paid maybe $2 or $3 a bottle for.
Wow.
And then there was an article in the Washington Post just a couple of days ago that said that all the major drug manufacturers in the United States are going to boost prices again this year. And of course, what happens is the United States is about the only country in the world that advertises drugs on television. And they wonder why there's a drug problem. Well, what they show several times a day, if you're watching broadcast TV, is, oh, you have a problem? We've got the pill for it. And it's they want to induce the patient to go to the doctor and say, well, my foot hurts or my head hurts or my back hurts, and I want this pill made by this company for it. And instead of trusting to the doctor to say, well, no, you need a chiropractor, no, you need a massage, no, you need a simple generic pill for something simple. No, it's the very expensive, very brand new medicine that's probably imported from India, where they make it dirt cheap, but they sell here for fantastic amounts of money. Or if they make it here, they claim it costs so much to develop and get a patent on it and get it through the Federal Food and Drug Administration, that's why they have to charge so much money, which is nonsense. But people buy it because this is what they're told. They have no alternative source of news, really.
Yeah, thank you very much. If you're just joining, share the video. Yum says they're purchasing the book right now. Thank you very much. The purchase his first book, is in the description. I'm putting it on screen. I'll put his second book on screen in the description as well. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. That's the reason I do this. These people take I mean, this guy's a U.S. diplomat, and he's hanging out with us right now for a little bit. So let's repay him the favor. Not only that, I mean, if you don't really know the backstory, please go check out our previous interviews. But I mean, to sum it up, this dude, he's a diplomat. Why don't you give a brief overview? I mean, because if you don't know, this guy's not just your ordinary cushy diplomat that's sitting up here and he's using his diplomatic plates to air out his mattresses because he's got so many ladies, right? And by the way, we're going to talk about that. But no, this guy's not putting cigarettes out on hookers. This guy put his life on the line. Why don't you, for people that don't know, audit them. Please do me a favor and share this video on your community tab. Everybody share this video. This guy is a national treasure. Why won't you hear about him? Back in the days of realness, right? There's going to be people like him. There's going to be people like John Kiriakou. There's going to be people like Julian Assange. And once somebody discovers this civilization, if they ever can find it, these are the people that are going to be the heroes. It's not going to be Klaus Schwab. It's not going to be the hero Greta Thunberg. These are not heroes, right? They murdered all of our heroes, and then when real heroes like J. Michael Springman emerge, they marginalize them. And ones like John Kiriakou, you go to jail. Julian Assange, you were a journalist and you blew on war crimes. We're putting you under the jail, buddy. Right? Thank you so much for doing that. So yeah, briefly tell the folks, or take as much time as you want.
Sure.
But what your first book is about? And I'm gonna put it on screen and link in the description because this book is fucking crazy, bro. This is not, by the way, one last thing I'll say is this is not a fiction book. This is a book that really happened.
Well, good. Well, thank you for the kind words, and thank the fellow who just bought the book. I really appreciate that. Basically, the Visas for Al Qaeda is kind of the story of myself and how I always wanted to join the Foreign Service and do something useful for the United States and have an interesting job that would enable me to maybe, if not shape and develop American foreign policy, at least to carry it out in a good and non-ideological kind of way. And it tells the story of me trying to get into the State Department for years and always failing the oral examination. And then finally, after years of trying, after I had graduated from Georgetown University's Foreign Service School, I got into the State Department. And as a reward, they sent me to Saudi Arabia. And it wasn't on any of the countries that I had picked. I, in fact, had been told I would be sent to Germany, to East Germany at the time. And when they passed out assignments, I was going to Jeddah. I said, well, all right, I'll go and see what it's like. And got there after hearing some strange stories from the American ambassador, Walter Cutler, about my predecessor making problems for him and the embassy by refusing visas to rich Saudi women who wanted their hairdressers and seamstresses and other factotums to go with him to the United States. Well, when I got there, I found out that I was first requested, then ordered to issue visas to people who did not qualify for them. And these were people that couldn't tell me why they were going to the United States, what they were going to be doing there. They had no ties to Saudi Arabia or their own country.
They had old school like alarm clocks coming out of their bags. I mean, this is like we're talking about next level ridiculousness.
Yeah.
Right. Oh,
yeah.
Hey. So okay, you're here to get a visa. Okay. Well, why are you going to this country?
Yeah. And
like these people are so stupid they didn't even think of a why.
Yeah.
I mean, this is ridiculous, bro. They just and this is very indicative of what's going on here because I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but these people think. We're going to be checked on this? What do you mean? We're going to be checked on this? I have to make up a lie? I have to make up a reason why I'm going to this country? It's like insanity.
Yeah, well, the United States doesn't have any internal controls like they do in Europe. You go to a hotel in Europe and you hand over your passport, and then you fill out the register at the hotel, and they give that to the police, so they know who you are, where you've been, and where you're going. And the United States controls is really applying for a visa. And when I was in Jeddah, I would interview these people for about 2 minutes, and they would, by and large, talk themselves out of a visa. They would not be able to tell me why they were going to the United States, what kind of job they had in Saudi Arabia, uh, what was going to bring them back. Was it family? Was it a company that they owned, and so forth? And uh, there were other characters who could not tell me what was going on. I remember at one instance, there were a couple of guys going to a supposed trade show in the United States. And I had known that the trade show was the American Automotive Parts and Accessories Association, APAA, and it always held its annual convention at McCormick Place in Chicago. And these guys said they're going to the APA show. And I said, well, what's the APA show? Well, they didn't know. And I said, well, where is it going to be held? Oh, in Detroit. And that's wrong. And I said, you're not going to get a visa. But we have to go with the Commerce Department. Well, I then had a call within the hour from the CIA case officer embedded in the commercial section demanding I issue these visas. And I said, no, they can't tell me where they're going, why they're going. And all they can say is, well, they're going with the Commerce Department trade mission. And I'm sorry, the Immigration and Nationality Act and the State Department's own regulations say you have to explain to the consular officer why you're going, because you're believed to be an intending immigrant, unless and until you can prove otherwise. And the burden of proof is on the applicant. They have to show ties that are strong enough that they have to leave the United States after seeing the Grand Canyon, after visiting their relatives in California, after doing a business deal in New York City. And by and large, I had nothing but a battle with the Consul General, Jay Freres, who fortunately now is dead. He was too stupid to come in out of the rain and was hit by a bolt of lightning after his retirement. So this went on for about a year and a half, and then I got terrible efficiency reports because I questioned a lot of this stuff and nobody would tell me what was going on. And went on to Stuttgart, where the consul was run by two successive consuls general from the Central Intelligence Agency. And lo and behold, after I got back to Washington, I found out I had been fired. And when I tried to find out through the Freedom of Information Act on two separate occasions why I was fired, the first one was shut down as a threat to national security, which couldn't explain why wanting to learn why I was fired is somehow connected with national security. And the second time, they claimed that they had shredded all of the documents that I had asked for, where Freres had ordered me to issue visas to unqualified people who were obviously, as I found out later from Joe Trento, the journalist, now retired and living in Florida, that what they were doing is recruiting people for the Mujahideen to fight the Soviets in Afghanistan. They were then being sent to the U.S. for training, generally at military facilities on the East Coast. And I said, now I understand why they got so upset when I refused these visas. And if they'd been smart enough to tell me, I would have been dumb enough at the time probably to say, oh, yeah, we're fighting the evil communists, those godless beasts. Yeah, I'll give them a visa. So since then, I've had, of course, God's own time trying to get a full-time paying job. I'm pretty much blacklisted by the mainstream media. The only people that talk to me are Arabs, Iranians, Russians, Iraqis, people outside the country. So by and large, I've been still fighting back. I don't give up. I kind of snipe at them from time to time. I write the article for Substack, and occasionally the law practice kicks in, and I have to do something that prevents me from writing. So I miss doing that. I really like writing, and I think I have something to say and an attitude and a viewpoint that most people don't normally have.
Yeah, I want to talk to you behind the scenes. As I just tell you now, we're working with about my website. I want to talk to you about that behind the scenes because I think there's some ways that we can kind of get. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting because I've done pretty much every form of nonviolent activism that there is, and then you go up to as I brought up before. I'm just going to show a parallel for the audience here because there's a lot of the audience here that checks me out because um, I've done cop watch videos in the past, which is a very infinitesimal part of what I've done, but that's unfortunately what gets known the most. So when I say, hey, to a police officer, hey, how seriously do you take your oath? Oh, very, very seriously. Okay, can you name me the 5 parts of the First Amendment? Oh, I can't. Oh, why are you violating this person's right? I'm just following orders. That's a juxtaposition with J. Michael Springman, who was told to do illegal things from the CIA. And instead of saying, oh, I'm just following orders, he stood his ground and he got fired like a real man.
Thank you.
How many people, how many lives did he save? Not getting, I mean, who knows if these people eventually ended up in the country or not, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure they probably did, right? But
Yeah.
even just the prolonging of that, the delaying of that. I mean, if you can you just imagine the world we live in, right?
Mm.
Where we've got these shady people, right? We got terrorism, right? We got terrorists out there, right? And then Saudi Arabia is supposed to be the hotbed of terrorists. Meanwhile, they're vacationing with the Bushes, and then this guy's like, okay, you can't tell me why you're going into the country. You don't even know why. Yeah, I'm not going to let you go into the country. I mean, it's just basic common sense. And the CIA is like, hey, asshole, let this guy in. What are you doing? You're fucking things up. We're trying to murder Americans here and steal their freedoms. Get with the program, right? So that's why it's very important to support this guy's book. It's incredible. It gives you a glimpse into the stuff that you only see like hints of on the news. You can kind of it's like a shooting star. You see, and it's gone, right? Thank you very much, Ian McCarthy, for being here at the suggestion of Audit Them. Now, this is a question that I got two random questions for you. Okay, I'll tell you what. We'll do one more serious question and then we'll get to some fun questions. Okay.
Okay.
So, not to toot my own horn. I don't have a horn to toot, but this channel here, I'm just a regular person. I'm just a regular dude. I'm not really. I'm not smart. I didn't graduate college. I'm just a regular dude. But not only was I talking about Jeffrey Epstein before the mainstream news knew who he was, but I confronted Hillary Clinton to her face. I confronted Michael Bloomberg to his face. I reported the day before the Wall Street Journal the real reason why Bill and Melinda Gates got divorced. And why to me is Jeffrey Epstein so important? Because I said decades ago, I said, hey, there's groups like the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, and I have to say it like that because they're going to put a thing on my video if I don't. Trilateral Commission, Trilateral Commission, um, CFR, Trilateral, and the Bilderberg Group. They hate our freedoms. They're trying to subvert all of our freedoms. There's a secret agenda going on there, and they do weird shit with women and kids. I said that. People called me crazy long ago. Then Jeffrey Epstein came out, the same person, and this is why I'm harping on this, right? And then lo and behold, Jeffrey ties into academia with Harvard and MIT. Pardon me one second. So he's connected to Harvard and MIT. He's also connected not just to academia, but he's connected to, like I referred to earlier, with Sophie, the artificial intelligence robot, and all these artificial intelligence things. He's connected to Hollywood. He's connected to politics, left and the right. He's connected to literally every aspect of our lives, and we're getting more and more information out on this. So first off, I was quite frankly shocked when Epstein got arrested in the first place, because I'm like, why are they even telling us this? This is weird. Like, why would you even arrest him in the first place when I'm telling them? And if you don't know, Jeffrey was an FBI informant. Ghislaine, her father was a MI6, a Mossad, right? So blackmail?
You betcha.
Yes, definitely, right? So first of all, why the fuck did they even arrest this dude in the first place? And second of all, it's interesting because we have all these people coming out And the weird part about it is people like you and I have been saying the same thing I just said for a long time.
Mhm.
And they're still going to vote and they're still going to go watch the movies of the people they just found out were flying with this guy. So
Yeah,
why? I mean, what the fuck, dude? I'm sorry to be crass, but like,
yeah.
like this we should be getting literally people should be lining up to kiss our asses, right? So and I guess it's a two-part. One, why did they even let us know that they arrested Epstein in the first place? Now, I'm kind of like just over the last couple of years getting into true crime too,
Mhm.
and there's a dope podcast out there called The Clown and the Candyman, and it features Dean Corll and John Wayne Gacy and how they're serial killers, but also they were involved in trafficking children, and they were connected to a guy named I believe his name is John Norman, and he had an island out in the Great Lakes, and they did the same thing, and he went down. The black book with the politicians and the cops and the celebrities that went missing. So first of all, why did they even arrest him in the first place? And secondly, I mean, do you think we're going to see any? And I guess this is going to make it a three-parter too, because these people all tie into 2024. What do you see happening with these Epstein revelations? Anything that you find interesting? Anything that's on your radar? Anything in 2024? And then I got two fun questions for you. So
Okay, well, I don't really have any particular insight into why they arrested him at the time that they did. I could probably speculate that, well, we can arrest him. It's gone too far. Too many people are talking. There are far too many lawsuits coming out that may have very damaging information brought out
damage control.
discovery. Uh, so well, let's put him away, keep him quiet for a while, and hopes that this blow over. And then I don't believe he committed suicide. I kind of lean towards someone who knocked him off, figuring that, well, this is going to get out of hand if he's not there to testify. Well and good. But that's pure speculation, and it's not been proven. And you have your suspicions, but given the nature of some of these people, like Bill Clinton and Prince Andy over in merry old England, and a lot of very well-connected, powerful people, and they're afraid now that with more lawsuits coming, and they're going to start picking apart the little bit of information that's been released. It may give people another chance to bite at the apple again and maybe try and keep pulling at a thread and eventually unravel the whole sweater. I don't know. I would hope so. But that's, again, hoping is not uh, anything hard and fast and concrete. It's you can hope that the story about John Kennedy's murder or his brother's murder or Martin Luther King Jr.'s murder will eventually come out. And it comes out in bits and pieces, and nobody wants to connect the dots and do a real investigation. So I think that they keep spinning it, and they keep filling the papers with how wonderful the economy is and what wonderful things the Clinton family has done for the United States and so on. And you don't get to the real meat of the issues of any kind of issue, I guess. So it just sort of, it's misinformation, disinformation, and playing keep away with the truth.
Yeah, and as you guys all know, I'm no fan of Donald Trump. I mean, like I mentioned last night, I spoke out some Donald Trump since the beginning. He's the one that said, take the guns first, then worry about due process later. He's the one that shut down the whole country due to coronavirus. He's the one that sat there and watched while people were being ripped apart at funerals, people were being arrested at weddings. He's the one that got bailed out by Rothschild banker Wilbur Ross in the 1980s, who was also a Bilderberg member, who he put in his administration, who was on photographs and videographs the first time Epstein got put out of get out of jail to party with him, just like his draining the swamp member Steve Mnuchin, Skull and Bones member, partying with him too, just like William Barr, who had to recuse himself of over Epstein because his family's ties to Epstein, just like Steve Bannon, who after Epstein got arrested the second time ran public relations for him, and Trump knew about what Epstein was doing for 10 to 12 years and only said anything when him and Epstein were looking for the same piece of real estate, right? So if you guys have any questions, I know Mr. Pringwin is a very a busy dude, so if we can maybe get a couple of these questions in here. One question we have here from the chat is, well, let me ask you one more too. What do you foresee, and then the juxtaposition of Donald Trump, and the reason I say that I'm no fan of Donald Trump, but Like Joe Biden he can't even make a sentence. He literally can't make a sentence. I mean, George Bush was an idiot. He was an idiot. Donald Trump wasn't. I mean, but they could put together sentences. They might not be correct words in them, but they were. I mean, we're really devolving fast. Where do you see 2024 going?
Well, basically, 2024 is going downhill. I see major issues pretty much everywhere, economically, militarily, and politically. You've got, I was sent a video of Bush and his, not Bush, I'm sorry, Biden and his inability to speak a complete sentence. And they must have run half a dozen clips of him. And the guy belongs in a home, not as being president of the United States sitting in the White House. But as far as things are going to go this year, I think it's going downhill. I have no love for Donald Trump, but I think this business of trying to keep him off the ballot is something that they do in less than stable countries that are maybe called banana republics.
Yes.
Put him out there. I mean, it's a terrible thing.
I see this. I mean, give me your take on this. This is my theory. I'm not sure if you heard my theory. I'll keep it as brief as possible. 2000, we got George Bush. 2004, people hate George Bush. We still got George Bush. Then the powers that be say, hey, okay, we'll throw him a curveball. We'll give him a smooth talking black dude. That'll satiate them for a little while. It didn't. We woke up really fast. Mitt Romney almost beat him in 2012, right? And then they were like, all right, fuck, what do we do? All right, so this is my theory. There's all just speculation from this crazy little brain of mine. And then they were like, all right, cool. So we'll run Donald Trump. Donald Trump, perfect order out of chaos. I personally can see how half the population would say he's not perfect, but he cares about America. And the other part of the population say, holy shit, this guy's a fucking psycho, right? And I can see that. And then the Democrats and the Republicans and the truth community, we had already agreed that we don't trust the media long before Donald Trump came into office. So we put Donald Trump. He'll say some talking points, drain the swamp. He'll do the opposite. He'll actually add more members of the swamp. He'll start immediately meeting with Henry Kissinger and Bilderberg members and Skull and Bones members, right? And meanwhile, what we'll do is we'll siphon off reality into two different streams even more. We'll have the Democrats get their stuff from the Young Turks, and now this MSNBC, and the Republicans, they're going to get Joe Rogan, they're going to get Jordan Peterson, they're going to get Alex Jones. That's going to be the new media. I personally think, and I don't know, because back when Bush and Obama were in, I knew exactly what the fuck was going on. When they threw Trump in there, I was like, I don't even know. I personally think they might put Trump out there for the next one just to see, because honestly, I mean, I don't know who else the Democrats would run, and it's not even really Biden. It's the fact that the news, literally, we have a gentleman that cannot speak a complete sentence. And this is not, we're not being hyperbolic here.
No, exactly. Yeah.
We're not. He can't talk. The president
can't walk either.
The leader of the free world, and the news just it's nothing. There's nothing about this. So yeah, I mean, those are my thoughts there. If you guys have any other questions, put them in the comments. We'll see if we can get to it. Two questions that we have for you earlier. One is, ask him, this from Pamela. Shout out to Pamela. Ask him if you knew Lyndon LaRouche. And Lyndon LaRouche, I'll just say this from the and the other part thing was, do you autograph your books? Lyndon LaRouche, he's always been somebody that's kind of been on the peripherals of the movement for a very long time. He's been doing it for a long time. What's your take on Lyndon LaRouche?
Well, I've never met him. I've heard him speak on television, and I met some people who are part of his organization. There was one guy who was very good, very well connected, and put out a lot of good articles. And then some of the other people I know keep pumping out a lot of how best to put it, kind of on the edge statements and viewpoints. So I think that the organization could be more focused. They seem to be obsessed with the British and the problems the British have created for the world, which is, certainly true enough. But they don't really focus on non-ideological attacks on the establishment, I guess, is maybe my concise.
What would you mean by that non-ideological attacks?
They'll pick out something claiming that the British are behind this problem in American politics, or a secret cabal of bankers or banksters maybe are involved in manipulating a politician. And well, I want a little bit more information than that. I want specifics. I want hard facts and so forth.
Yeah,
Um,
I totally agree. I mean, one of the things that I've noticed getting into this movement is you'll run into people. It's the British, it's the Jews, it's the Freemasons, it's the Jesuits, right? And it's it's not just one group. I hate to break it to you guys. There's people from all we're all one race. We're all the human race, right? We just different shades of melanin in us. It's not like dogs. We have right. We're human beings. We're all human beings. We're just slightly different.
mm,
And then on top of that, the so-called religions or races, especially when it's religions, and they say, "Oh, I'm a Jew," or "I'm a Catholic," or "I'm a," doesn't. No, the fuck you aren't, bro. You're not. You don't act like that. You're not a Muslim. You're not a Jew. You're not. So that's just a facade, right? That's what bank robbers do. They
yeah.
pretend to be somebody else, right? So we know that. So it really defeats the purpose when people say, "Oh, it's this, it's that," and without actually providing these people. And it's not just one group of people. If it was, it would be a lot easier to identify and take care of these people. And again, if you're just joining Fake Mike Real News, what are we about? We're about changing the world. We're trying to make a more altruistic world through nonviolence in the Socratic method. And that's what I mean by taking these people out through nonviolence. um, so if you guys have any other questions here, I'm going to get to a couple of my questions as well here. If you could have dinner with any person, living or dead, besides a relative, who would it be?
Well, I would say Friedrich II, the first king of Prussia, or maybe Ludwig van Beethoven, or Robert E. Lee, or Thomas Jonathan Jackson, his strong right arm. I think that would be interesting people to have dinner with.
Who was the first one you said, and then why?
The first one was Friedrich II, the first king
Friedrich
of Prussia.
II. Gotcha.
He was a lawgiver and administrator. He was a man of letters, corresponded with French philosophers. Um, he was a musician, a musical composer as well. He played the flute, and he had an excellent court orchestra.
Oh,
And uh, he established the basics of the Prussian state, I think.
what were some of the things you would ask Robert E. Lee? Because he's quite an interesting person, right? I
Mhm.
mean, he didn't own slaves, yet but he goes to fight for the South, right? And he's a very interesting person overall. And there's a lot of the modern day historians, it's history. I mean, I recommend people you try to get close to the source or to the source as you can, because these historians nowadays, it's just bullshit, bro. It's just their take on something. Then half of it's just they're blowing smoke. It's not even true. But
Mhm.
yeah, what are kind of some of the things you'd ask Mr. Lee?
Well, I'd want to ask him a little bit about his time in the Mexican War, the late unpleasantness with our neighbors to the south. He was a captain in the army then, and he scouted out positions as an engineer. He was an army engineer for the American army to advance against the Mexicans, and he did an excellent job of it, apparently. I would ask him about his time as superintendent of the military academy at West Point and what it was like. And I think finally I would ask him, why did he make Napoleon's mistakes at Waterloo when he was fighting the damn Yankees at Gettysburg? He had failed to capture a crossroads town. He tried both flanks without success. Then he had this huge thrust up the center that resulted in slaughter, which is exactly what happened to Napoleon at Waterloo. And the thing that was that Lee, he had read when he was a student at West Point um, the account of Napoleon's battles in the original French as written by Napoleon himself.
Yeah, and that, I mean, I'm nowhere near as smart as you, and I know he read that. I knew he was enamored, and most of everybody of that time period, and even till to today, they're enamored with Napoleon and the moves that he made, and they're armchair quarterbacking or this or that too, right? And so it's like, what? There's a lot of things in our history that don't make, quite frankly, don't
Mm,
make sense, right?
yeah.
And we know that for sure too. Something that recently came across my across my table, which I thought was really odd. This is just like a random side note. Is people in the middle half of the 19th century were photograph happy. They were photographing everything. And why wouldn't you? It's a brand new technology. Yeah, that makes total sense. You're photographing everything. So we have photographs of Union and Confederate encampments. We have photographs of them even in, like, practicing and marching. We have photographs of dead people on the fields, and we also have accounts that politicians would go and pack a picnic, and journalists would go and pack a picnic and go sit on the hills and watch some of these battles. Uh, but yet we don't have a photograph of any battle actually during the Civil War, right? So it's just, and that kind of just blew my mind. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong here, guys. I'm not saying the Civil War didn't happen, okay? I'm just saying it's like, it goes to what we were talking about earlier, right? Like, we should never take anything for granted. Like, growing up, we take for granted Israel's. I mean, Iran's the bad guy. They're a bunch of terrorists. They're the bad ones. But that's not the case. That's not factually true. Iran has never invaded another country at all. And honestly, if Iran had invaded the United States, I'm not even going to say what I'm thinking right now because we're still live on YouTube. But I mean, Iran could declare war on us and invade based on their past, based on how much we've meddled with their business, right? So that's all I'm saying. I'm sorry to go off on that. I'm sorry to go off on that tangent about what's going on in the Civil War. I don't know, man. Who knows what the fuck is going on in history? And then to this day, they keep saying Sumeria is the oldest civilization. Meanwhile, they keep finding things that are carbon dated older than that. All right. Final question here for you, and I'll check the chat, see if we have any fun questions for J. Michael Springman. Links are in the description to purchase his book. Please purchase his book. It's very inexpensive. And, you guys could order from Pizza Hut. You guys could buy some Chinese slave goods at Walmart. And you're going to. And that's cool. That's fine. But also, at the end of the day, realize when you're shopping with these gigantic corporations, you're doing just that. You're shopping and you're giving your money to the giant corporations. Meanwhile, J. Michael Springman put his literal life on the line. He stood up to the CIA, and the CIA said, "Hey, stop. Hey, would you bend over for us?" And J. Michael Springman whipped it out and said, "No, I'm not going to do it, bitch." Right? And so literally, you don't tell the CIA no. So give this guy fucking $30 right now, okay? The links are in the fucking description. And on top of that, like I said, you're going to get a glimpse into the machinations, the inner workings of this hidden government that really runs shit, right? It's not Biden. He's not running things. Biden is not he's not calling the shots, right? He's not. Do you think they let his sleepy ass have his finger on the nuclear button? It's not happening. He let him sit in the back of the car with the fake steering wheel, bro. This guy, he's not real. He's not real. I mean, he's a real person. Right? Don't get me wrong here, but these are the points we're trying to illustrate. What would you say are the 3 most influential books on your life, and or 3 books that you would recommend to every viewer? Quit cursing. I'm sorry.
Well, I think the book that influenced me to be interested in the State Department was The Ugly American by Letter and Burdick, back, I guess, late 50s, early 60s, maybe. Other books I've read, there was a book written by a Georgetown University professor right after the end of the war, saying that Franklin Roosevelt set up the American fleet for an attack by the Japanese, which was echoed in a book which I have upstairs right now, and I think it's Day of Deceit. I can't remember the author now, but he basically said what the Georgetown University professor had noted in great detail, and talks in great depth about how the Americans had broken the Japanese codes, both military and diplomatic. And a third book that impressed me no end. Well, a couple of them. I read Gilad Atzmon's books, The Wandering Who, WHO, and Being in Time. I'm reading, almost finishing up Norman Finkelstein's book, The Holocaust Industry, which is far too late for me to read. I should have read this years ago, but it's an excellent book that exposes a lot of detail that you don't see in the mainstream media. And what's another book that's got me? Well, yeah, Gary Webb. It's his anniversary now of being murdered Of course, they said he shot himself in the head twice. I can't quite figure out how that's possible. But Gary Webb, he was the guy who wrote about the CIA and the drugs and bringing crack cocaine to America to fund Iran-Contra. And he wrote a series of articles for the San Jose Mercury News, which he then formed into a book, Dark Alliance. Excellent book. I heard him speak one time here in Washington. And then the mainstream media, or maybe the lamestream media, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Los Angeles Times, ganged up and said, this is nonsense. He's no journalist. He's making this up. It's lies, etc. And he had real telephone numbers and real tail numbers on airplanes in his book. I mean, it was factual, and you couldn't dispute what he put down. But the editor of the news fired him, got an award for doing it, mind you. And then he couldn't get a job anywhere as a journalist. His wife divorced him, and supposedly he killed himself twice, which I can't believe. There was a sign on his door, I think, that said, do not enter, call 911, the police, and the ambulance, which is really peculiar. It sounds like a mafia hit almost. So that was a very impressive book, and I will recommend that.
Yeah, and the crazy part about all of that is, okay, hey, I have absolute proof that the CIA is trafficking cocaine into the inner cities. Okay, yeah. you get fired, and then we kill you, and then later, and then you're lying and not telling the truth, and then later it's a matter of fact, and we're gonna make money off of a Hollywood movie about you. That's how we do our heroes in this country, right? When they make a Hollywood movie about J. Michael Springman, don't trust it. They're gonna have Denzel playing him. They're gonna be doing all sorts of things that are not making sense. Don't trust that Hollywood movie, right? We're gonna be the ones bringing you that documentary, all right? I appreciate you giving me this time. We've hit over an hour too, and I usually are very gracious with your time, so I appreciate that. Let me ask you, man, are you what do you do in your free time, man? You a baseball guy? What do you do when you're unwinding? Because it's important for people like you, not the normies out here that don't do anything, but to unwind a little bit. What are some of the things that you like to engage in when you're winding down and trying
I listen to upbeat classical music. I like to read interesting books, generally nonfiction. Although I do like fiction, if I can find a good, rousing action story or something like that, I happily do that. I go to the gym, I work out, go out and have pizza and beer with friends, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's interesting too because, well, first of all, let me put it back up on the screen here. And the links again, the links in the description for the purchase of this book. Please go ahead and purchase this this book. It's Visas for Al Qaeda. CIA handouts that rock the world. Links in the description, and it's on screen, and the pinned comment as well too. And yeah, it's very important to take some personal time, because I know, like me myself, I got a little too involved in this stuff, and I was having trouble sleeping. You know what I'm saying? And it does. So all work and no play make Jack a dull boy. I have one other damn question I'm forgetting, but we'll save that for next time. We're not going to give everybody everything all at once. But J. Michael Springman, thank you very much, man. Guys, please support, share this video, man. God only knows how long we're going to be up on this platform. And thank you very much. So yeah, everyone go over there. Links in the description. Let them know Fake Mike sent you. And again, yeah, I'll also have a Substack and everything over there. And yeah, I'll send you a message soon, because I have a couple things that I think I can do for you free of charge that might be able to help. So thank you very much for your time. Be safe during this crazy snowstorm that we're enduring right now.
And thank you very much for having me on and giving me the chance to speak my mind. I'm very grateful for that.
Appreciate that, man. Your check's in the mail.
Okay. All right.